Take two. Alarm went off. Right. Have you received an offer yet? Have you? Right, anyway, yeah, I'm going to try and remember what I said last time. I wing this stuff. I don't have a script or anything. I just kind of, it's what comes to my mind at the time. Yeah, so offers. So the other day I did some content regarding tests, and in a spiritual sense, you know, I believe that as we go through life and we evolve spiritually and we open up and etc, we receive these tests. So I was talking about this on my live the other day, a couple of tests just to talk about that I had. A lot of mine have been about, are you going to unalive yourself, basically. I had quite a lot of depression and anxiety for most of my life up until the last couple of years. Becoming a widower, that was a big test. Do you hit the bottle? Do you know, just nosedive and turn to depression, or do you unalive yourself? Or, as I did, do you pick yourself up, do you dust yourself off, go, that's shit, really shit, but I'm not going to waste it, I'm going to make the most of it. Okay, so that was the test. About a year after that, I was tested quite heavily in regard to death magic. And again, it was like, do you just give up? You know, everything around me had fallen apart, and I didn't. I got up, I stood up, I dusted myself off, because ironically, I thought, I'm not going to, as I was saying, I'm not going to waste that trauma, everything else that's happened previously, I'm not going to waste that. Chuck it in the bin. No, thank you. Yeah, so there's tests that you face along the way. Now, somebody I know was recently, I believe, turned to the dark side, if you want to call it that. Now, I've been aware that this person was going to be facing this test for some time. I actually said it to an old friend about a year ago now. And I said, oh, such and such, they've not faced their test yet. And they were like, what do you mean? I was like, we all face this test. Do you have a choice? Do you go dark, or do you stick on the path of truth, if you want to call it that? Okay. Sadly, I believe that they failed this test. You know, and I also believe there's probably been some kind of offer, because I believe that there's somebody in the background pulling the strings, right? So, offers, what are they? So, offers, I'm talking just in a spiritual sense here, but it will kind of, you know, people will receive offers, other types and forms. They can be financial, they can be ego-based. So for me, when I was back with a big event company about a year and a half, 2 years ago, I'm fully aware that there were people there blowing smoke up my arse. You know, words like, you're an asset. The funny thing is, right, sounding that, you know, I know I'm an asset because I know I'm good at what I do. So people telling me didn't really make any difference, number one. Number two, I've always said, and will continue to say, you know, as a reader, as a psychic, as a tarot reader, the messages don't come from me. I'm just the entertainment value. I'm the reader. I read the cards, or I'm a channel. I channel the information. That comes from source. That's not me. Quite happy for people to say, oh, I really enjoyed your style. Oh, thank you very much. Yes, that was me. I'll take credit for that. But the messages, no, that's not me. So they couldn't get me. They couldn't get me with that. You know, there's a situation that I'm not really allowed to go into detail about, but there's I've been offered money for situations which I've refused. Personally, I find it an insult. You know what I mean? And that wasn't a spiritual thing, but that was all part of my path. You know, when you're on a spiritual path, be it that you're a psychic, a reader, a medium, channel, healer, therapist, facilitator, whatever, you know, you've got a role and purpose. And if you're a light worker, starseed, or chosen one, the dark side will try and buy you off, because they don't want you doing what you're here to do. They don't want you to bring change. They want the status quo. The ascension process isn't about floating up and becoming a unicorn. It's about getting your job done. It's about not being corrupted. And there's lots of different offers that people face. Now, for me, this person that I know, they've been got with the ego. Smoke being blown up their arse. You're this, you're that, you're amazing, you're blah, blah, blah. and it's got to them, and they now think that they're some kind of God Almighty being. Don't work like that. Don't work like that. So yeah, there's a lot of dirty offers. I mean, another one, for example, there's been a lot of offers from dark energy, from potential love interest for me along the way, and the offer for them has been all sorts of things, because somebody actually told me what they'd been offered, and you know, whether they were aware or not, it was to basically take me down. Failed. And this is why I've said for a long time my person has to be incorruptible, because you know, I am, and I've passed my tests. I'm sure there'll be some along the way, don't get me wrong, but I've passed my tests. I've not taken any dirty offers. But sadly, too many people do. Too many people do. They either take the offer or they hide, they run. And I'm not going to do that, you know what I mean? Because I know what I'm here to do. There's actually nothing to fear, except for fear itself. Everything is energy. Why would I be scared of energy? You know, but sadly, the other part of this, depending on who the person is, etc., etc., they from my experience, they tend to get these offers from gods or deities. Now, gods or deities, for me, they're not, again, they're energy. They might appear as beings, but they're not. And it's whether they are of the light side or the dark side. Now, for me, and again, I get this upsets people because you've been so heavily ingrained in religious-based doctrine, but angels are working for the false light side, for the dark side, because they have no free will and choice. They're controlled by Amun-Ra, aka Marduk, who is the religious god of many religions, and they're basically controlled by a sociopath. They're slaves. Now, in my experience, some of them are starting to go renegade. Just my belief system. But yeah, you know, this is how people get duped. You know, the biggest, the biggest spell ever done on humankind is religion. Sorry, you know, the Catholics, for example, they wear an effigy of a tortured man, replicate eating his flesh and drinking his blood. Well, that's black magic. Nothing more, nothing less. Yeah, so from my experience, and again, this tends to have been people that I've spoken to along my path, who have taken the dirty offer. They're offered these things by these gods and deities, and you know, as I always say, you know, you shouldn't worship anything. The only thing I'll ever worship is my one, my true one. I will worship her, but as the person and the energy that she is, not as a goddess, but as pure love. You know, you shouldn't worship or see anything as above you. It just, you know, for me that seems insane, absolutely insane. You know, just because something calls itself a god, it doesn't mean it is a god. But anyway, so yeah, offers. So what we're going to do is, that was obviously a talking video, we're now going to do a reading and see what was the offer. Join me in the next part.